Ever since Arkham Asylum first came out in 2009, the Arkham games have been a staple in the game development industry, being one of the best looking and feeling games to come out at the time. The new free-flow combat system developed by Rocksteady, which some game developers still try to mimic to this day, and the amazing graphics and visuals that still hold up to this day. With it also being the first original take on the Batman character in the video game world, it's not surprising how loved this game was and still is.
I've got your scent, Batman. I will hunt you down.
That's why in this video I am attempting to remake and learn more about one of the best combat systems ever made. Remaking Arkham Asylum's free-flow combat system in 2D. Okay, after that dramatic intro, let's briefly go over what I'm trying to achieve in this video. This video will be broken up into parts. First attacking, then stuff in between attacks like jumping to enemies, counter attacks, takedowns, and finally combos. I will also be going in depth into Batman's animations and movesets to get a better understanding of how Batman works in this game and why his movement controls feel so smooth, so I can learn how I can adapt that to my 2D version of the game. Speaking of, here is some early footage of the game at the time of recording this part of the video. So far I have a basic mechanic for movement and some early stage gadgets, and a very broken early combat system. Now the reason it's been hard getting some of the mechanics working is because originally when I first started making this game I used a tutorial series from Sean Spalding for a top-down RPG game. I used that tutorial as a base to build off of for the more complex mechanics I wanted to implement. Now this makes it harder and easier at the same time for me, because it's harder to figure out how to make different codes from other places work with the existing tutorials code. But it does make it easier because I don't have to make everything from the ground up, which could take months of work for me. Which leads us into our first part of the combat system we're going to be breaking down. Attacking. Batman in this game has 3 different parts in his attack animation. His idle, the beginning of his attack, point of contact with enemy, then easing back into his idle animation. Whereas in my game I only have one temporary animation, so I haven't exactly copied Batman's animations yet. But the code I'm writing should be doing some similar things to the original. This code. This code has been broken from the start. It has never worked. No. Anyway, moving on from He Who Shall Not Be Named. Although I don't have access to the original source code from Batman Arkham Asylum and City, the visuals of the game should be enough to go off of when creating my code. Now there are going to be some differences with how my attacks work, obviously with restructuring it to fit on a 2D plane, but also with the tutorial code I'm using as a base. For instance, in the tutorial when you press the attack button labeled key attack in the player's object, it sends the player into a state called player state attack, where using this function it makes Batman play his attack animation, and if the player is close enough to the enemy they could deal a certain amount of damage depending on what's written in the player's attack code.